The Arnold Clark Reel sale is now on.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and Facebook Live as well. Delighted to have your company. Alan Ruff and Barry Ferguson are with me here on this Friday evening to look ahead to the Scottish Cup fourth round fixtures and, of course, discuss all the news today. Yeah, there's lots of players in and out as we continue looking at all the players in this January transfer window. Welcome along to the football show. Of course, the main talking point seems to be VAR. The managers, referees, and of course the compliance officer with, of course, the SFA Chief Executive Ian Maxwell all assembled at Perth last night for some talks. It was indeed conducted in an orderly manner. There was no loud voices, according to Neil Lennon. And quite simply, Ruffy, at the end of it, they want to see VAR in. Brendan Rodgers mentioned he wanted maybe full-time referees. That may well have to be on the back burner. But now I think it's all about over the next year, possibly 18 months, looking at how they fund it and then how they train everybody on it.
Yeah, I think we're all hoping they could maybe push that a lot quicker. I think we'd like to see it. For the referee's point of view, yeah, I think it would stop most of the stuff that we're getting after the games. And I think the bottom line is we want to see the big decisions getting called right. You know, I know there'll be some teething problems here and there. We saw it at the Cup there in the summer, but the majority of the decisions were good when they had a look at them. It's just how they do it and how they implement it. I saw a couple of the American football do it, but they now have the sort of a referee who runs to the... They actually had stuff behind the goals. So wherever it happened, the incident happened, that's where the referee went. So it stopped the sort of a time bit of it, you know. But I think technically we want it. Yeah, well, we're not exactly, awash with cash, Ruffy, to start firing the tellies behind the goals as well. But what I would say is, Barry, from a playing perspective, from a manager's perspective, I think everybody's looking at it and saying it has to come, because if you start seeing other countries adopting it, and you're left out in the cold, it just creates more and more anger, I think.
Yep, I'm glad they had that meeting last night and they've came to a sensible agreement that they're going to hopefully bring it in. Now it's only cost, but I'm sure if you ask the owners at each club, I'm sure they'll put a bit of money towards getting it in. And as Ruffy said, it cuts out all these decisions that we're talking about after games. As you've seen down in England, there's always going to be a bit of teething problems. You've seen on a night in the Carabao Cup. I think it was Martin Waghorn that was caught offside, but that's going to happen. But you know what? The main thing is they've agreed on bringing it in, and hopefully we can sort it as soon as possible.
Yep, our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi looked at events last night in Perth.
Last night it was announced that all of Scottish football could finally agree on something. The SFA, the managers and the referees all support the introduction of video assistant referees into the Scottish game. Everyone saw VAR in action at last summer's World Cup, and with reasonable success, it was received positively by most. Now, a video assistant referee is actually a team of people who work together to review decisions taken by the referee by watching replays. 4 types of decisions can be reviewed using VAR: goals, penalties, red cards, and mistaken identity. For a decision to be overturned, it must be a clear and obvious error. It is already being used in Italy and Germany's top flights and will be used in the latter stages of the Champions League this season. The Premier League have also announced that they will use VAR from next year after clubs agreed in principle to its introduction. But there is obviously a big outlay behind it, with its implementation said to cost over several £millions. The Scottish game is not exactly rolling in money and has a certain Hampden Park to redevelop, so where will the financing come from? Hearts owner Anne Budge told PLZ Soccer her club is prepared to chip in as long as everyone else is.
I think we might all have to stand up to the mark. Yes, there's costs involved. Speaking personally, if we had to give something up in order to make that happen, I would give something up, obviously as long as the other clubs do as well. So I think we all have to work together.
They'll have to work together. Everybody has to find the money, Ruffy. It's all or nothing, although you think maybe just one or two clubs should get it.
I think obviously, I think the big teams, if they can afford it, let them get it. You know,
Yeah, just one or two.
Well, if the rest of them can't afford it, then what do we do? Do we just hang about until they can afford it?
I actually shouldn't have hung you out to dry there, but you were so ridiculous when we were watching that
package.
Two clubs can't just get it,
No,
Ruffy.
well, I'm saying, say Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, who are all wealthy clubs, can do it. Hamilton maybe can't, Dundee. So we just hang about and wait until they can afford to do it. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I don't think you've really grasped it, Ruffy. Everybody has to make a contribution to it.
Yeah,
the price might be $1 million, it might be $2 million.
They say they can't afford to. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think there's got to be a general consensus that everybody pitches in with the same amount of money for it. Mm-hmm. You can't have half the league buying it and then half the league opting out. It doesn't work that way. That's you having one set of rules for one set of teams at home, but then a totally different one away from home.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. Is about what I'm
why
saying
did you
is
suggest it
well,
then?
what I'm saying is if the clubs who can't afford it say no, we don't want to do it, then does that mean it gets
you reach an
put in the back
impasse.
burner?
You reach an impasse because it's all or nothing on this one. But I think the general consensus is everybody wants to see us move along with the rest of Europe on this one. From VAR, let's just quickly cover a few signings before we start to concentrate on the games. I think the big one has to be Greg Stewart. He left Kilmarnock, recalled back to Birmingham, but suddenly it's another loan for the remainder of his contract, 6 months back in Aberdeen.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's went pretty quickly. I'm sure Stevie Clark will be devastated because for me the first half of the season he was Kilmarnock's main player along with obviously Jordan Jones. So I think deep down Stevie Clark will be frustrated, angry that he's lost his best player. But it's a strange one. I thought maybe Birmingham called him back to sell him, but he's went back out on a loan. I find it very strange.
Yeah, Ruffy, that can only be could it be more money and the promise of a longer deal at the end of it?
Yeah, I think obviously Aberdeen's negotiated something. You know, that as Barry said, it seems a bit ridiculous, and I'm sure Kilmarnock will be up in arms about the whole situation. They obviously, if they wanted and could find the money to buy him, they would have done it. But the player obviously thinks that maybe the future is up at Aberdeen.
Yeah, Michael O'Halloran, Ruffy, back at St Johnstone. Yet another one. I think Michael O'Halloran and Scott Allen come into the category of two boys, unfortunately, who joined the wrong clubs.
Oh, I don't think that's even up for debate. You know, I don't think he was given a chance at Rangers. We all saw what he did at St Johnstone, and he was brought to Rangers because of what he did at St Johnstone. But for whatever reason, formation or just the manager just didn't fancy him, and it never worked for him. But we all know what he can do, and he certainly will score goals.
Yep, I've got to agree with you. I actually bumped into Scott Allen at the Star Sixes. He was there with his young boy, and I actually says to him, "Here, listen, you need to get out and play," because he is, for me, Scott Allen's a special talent. He's one guy that's missed a lot of football.
Only over 100 starts, Barry.
Yep, I know.
27.
I know, but he agreed with me. I don't know if he thinks I was having a go at him, but listen, he's a player that I've always liked. I've always enjoyed watching. He's got that bit extra special in the final third, whether it be a pass or he can score a goal as well. So I'm glad that he's decided to go to Hibs in the summer. I'm just hopeful that he can get there before it, because he needs to start playing, because he's a guy certainly full of talent.
Yep, I agree with you, Ruffy, on Michael O'Halloran. What a waste. And in the end, the manager clearly didn't know what he was doing when he was there anyway, so that vindicated that decision. Others, Kyle McAllister, back to St Mirren on loan from Derby. He had an injury last season, hasn't quite worked out for him. Here's another name, Tony Andrew, back to Hamilton on loan from Coventry. And we've heard about Ryan Hardy, signed an extension at Rangers, which is great news, but back to Livingston on loan.
Well, these managers obviously are identifying players that they know particularly well when they go down to England, and coming back again, you're not really taking a chance because you know deep down what the players can do because you've had them before.
Yep, okay. Scottish Cup dominates our thoughts now. Gabriel Antoniazzi has a look at the famous old trophy.
Welcome to the Scottish Football Museum here at Hampden Park, ahead of the fourth round of the Scottish Cup, which is right here next to me. Now, the first competition was back in 1874, making it the oldest tournament in world football. Queen's Park won it all of those years ago, but they've already been knocked out of this year's competition, so they won't be able to add to their 10 titles. However, there are 32 teams who will all be vying to lift the trophy on the 25th of May, the only time it ever leaves its cabinet. It's the fourth round of the tournament, the point of entry for most of the big clubs. Steven Gerrard confirmed Jermaine Defoe is set to make his debut in Scottish football on Friday evening as Rangers travel to Cowdenbeath. Some of the other bigger teams have favourable draws as well, as Hibs, Aberdeen and Celtic all have home ties against Elgin City, Stenhousemuir and Airdrieonians respectively, but no doubt the visitors there will be looking to replicate famous giant killings of the past. However, there are two All-Premiership ties, St Johnstone taking on Hamilton and Hearts against Livingston on Sunday. And make sure you keep an eye out for Auchinleck Talbot, the only junior team left in the competition, who take on Championship high-flyers Ayr United. Now, Celtic have won this competition more times than anyone else, with 38 victories. Rangers are 5 behind, with 33, and Steven Gerrard's men, along with the other 30 teams in the competition, will all share the same aim. Can anyone stop Celtic winning another trophy?
Yeah, I love the way Gabriel suggested there. Well, Queen's Park have been knocked out, so they won't be able to add to their 10 titles already. I'm sure Mark Roberts didn't have that pressure on his head, Ruffy. But if you have a look at the fixtures this weekend, are there many possible cup shocks out of them all that you can see? First of all, that first page.
No, I don't think so. I think because all the sort of relatively big clubs have all got home advantage, and you wouldn't think in the first page there would be many of them would struggle at home against the teams that they're playing.
Yep, okay. Barry, are you picking anybody from that section?
No, I think the ones Auchinleck Talbot, the junior team playing against Ayr United, that's their cup final. Local rivals. But no, I think Ayr have got enough to get through that one.
Yeah. What about, obviously everybody I think was looking forward to the Cowdenbeath Rangers game tonight, but since that's been postponed due to the weather, then they'll have to wait till another day for that one. But what about the second page of fixtures, Ruffy?
Second page is a wee bit harder, I think. I think the likes of Raith Rovers against Dunfermline will fancy themselves with a home advantage, but again, most of the big ones are all at home. Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Partick Thistle, St Johnstone, St Mirren, Celtic and Hearts. Home advantage. You wouldn't think any of them would lose the home advantage in these games.
Yeah, it's a welcome return for Scottish football. The Cup always gets people just back into the way of things. I think everybody's looking now and saying, okay, this Scottish Cup, confidence booster, and then back to the real action in the Premiership, Barry. Around Rangers, I think it's been positive because everybody was looking forward to, obviously not going to get the chance tonight, looking forward to the likes of Defoe and Davis to see if they could feature. But over and above that, now you're starting to look at Celtic. It's a strange situation that's happening there. Linked with McTominay, suddenly Solskjaer says that it's unlikely he's going to go out on loan. He's quite keen to keep him at United. And then there's a story of Western Melbourne confident that they can get Scott Brown probably in the summer at the end of his deal.
Yep, I read that this morning when I woke up. Am I surprised? I'll be honest with you, I'm not surprised. I think Scott Brown might be looking and thinking, do you know what, I've got a chance of getting over and get a 3-year contract to see out his career. I still think he's a big player for Celtic, but I've got a sneaky feeling that Scott Brown will leave.
Yeah?
Yep, I've got a feeling that he's done everything he's had to do at Celtic. He's been a fantastic player, he's been a fantastic captain, he's lifted all sorts of silverware, but I think the chance of going over to Australia and seeing out your career in a bit of sunshine, I think it might suit him.
It's an interesting one, Ruffy. I think if he did decide to leave at any point, he could go with his head held high for what he's achieved.
Oh, definitely. And I think he's a more mature player now than he was 5 years ago. I think since Brendan Rodgers came to the club, I think they've made him a better player, and his attitude towards the game is better. And people run about him, respond to him being on the park. I agree with Barry. At some stage of your career, you've got to say, right, maybe we need a wee change here. And you're right, you know, I think the Celtic supporters will accept that.
Yeah. Barry, the story over the last week certainly has been dominating events down south in England. Would you be miffed if somebody suddenly had a drone hovering above Kelty or indeed had a spy with binoculars watching your training?
No, see, to be honest, that wouldn't concern me. I was watching a bit last night and seeing all the Championship managers on Sky having their word, having a say, on it, like their training grounds. Some of them are pretty open and people walking their dogs. Listen, it's part and parcel of football, isn't it? Yeah. I don't see it as cheating.
I wonder, at the Championship, the level they are, I mean, they're one of the fifth best, biggest attendances. Certainly the money that's on offer in the Championship is huge as well. I wonder if the margins, if you've got teams that are of similar ability, I always think, you know, if you get great players, they can win games, you know, but I wonder if teams of similar ability, the edge is maybe the fact that you need to go and head to training grounds and try and get another little edge to it all, Ruffy.
Don't see what you're going to get in a training ground. Yeah, certainly, you know, I mean, I don't know what these drones can do. I'm still trying to get my head around.
Hover.
Somebody
and then they take pictures and film, Ruffy.
I'm still trying to get my head around somebody in Kelty having one.
Yeah. Go on. Just alienate yourself from us going there for a game in the future.
Can I just say
in a training ground?
Can I just say one thing? We have got a drone. We have.
Yeah.
One of the committee had a drone, and it goes over obviously it hovers, as Peter says, and it shows you. We've got like a kind of clip on the stadium, what they're trying to do at the stadium, and that's what they're using it for. You can see why people use them for training. Yeah, because you get a better view, obviously.
Well, you get an aerial view, and you can give people an indication of where they made a mistake, or where you want them to play, and what, you know.
I'll be honest, if I had the facility and the money, I would use it, because there's quite a lot of managers do use it in training. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, at the end of the day, you know, more often than not, the managers will tell you they will use everything they can in their power. There's more and more thought goes into it, and I don't need to tell you about that, but nevertheless, it's one of those ones. Maybe my opinion is that the training ground is sacrosanct. I just think that part of it is just a wee bridge too far.
Yeah, but listen, that's not what happens in our country, whether it be in Scotland or down in England. It happens over in Italy, it happens in France. You know what I mean? That's part of their culture, but it's not in our culture to go and sneak on and try and get a bit off people's training. But I don't see what you would see a lot of. Listen, a Friday, okay.
Yeah, Friday if the team's set out and you're doing functions, corners for, corners against, free kicks. Yeah. But no, watching people doing shuttles and boxes.
But that's precisely what the guy done at Leeds. He went on a Friday to see what team they were sending out.
Yeah. Well, so I think he just overstepped the mark a wee bit. But listen, over and above that, I wanted to get your thoughts on the current Scotland captain. What a great deal that is for him. To 2024, Andrew Robertson at Liverpool commits himself to a long-term deal. I am of the opinion if Liverpool want to win the Premier League in England, they must have a Scot in their team.
Well, I tell you what, looking back, it's an absolute snip, £8 million for Hull City. You see, he's been a massive part of what they've done over the last 18 months. And you know what, fair play to him, he deserves it, because he got knocked back when he was younger at Celtic as a young kid. He's went and done it the hard way. He's went to Queen's Park, then got his move to Dun United, then for Dun United obviously down to the Championship, and he's got his big move. And you know what, he's been excellent. He's been one of the top performers, and every time you watch Liverpool play, you can hear the fans sing his name, so you can see what kind of job he's doing. Top class player. Yeah,
as a person, very grounded, Ruffy. Over and above that, I think it just gives you an insight into the player when he actually said to Jurgen Klopp, look, what do I have to do to get into this team? And then from there, he even worked relentlessly on his crossing, on all the little points that could give him an edge.
Yeah, and I'm sure Klopp, if he's honest enough, needed to be convinced that he was the player that was going to get into the Liverpool side, and all credit to the boy, because he had to wait his time until he was given the chance, and then he was given the chance and he just grabbed it. I think it's a fantastic contract he's got. I think the only way up for him now is to go abroad. You know, I don't think he can go any higher than Liverpool.
I wouldn't go abroad. I'd stay at Liverpool. There's no
doesn't.
No, but I'm saying
anywhere.
if he was to go anywhere, it'd have to be abroad.
He does not need to go anywhere. He's at a top club that's only going to get better for me.
Yep, I agree with you. Just before we go, it just shows you, you know, if we were dealing with some kind of European league where it was based on attendances and support, which, you know, when you look at the latest figures that have been released, this is the average attendances right across Europe, the top 20 clubs. And as you can see, well, no surprise, Manchester United, the fans that have been following them, there's I think Tottenham will increase even further when they go into their new stadium. But if you look there, Celtic are in 9th position in this table. You can tell West Ham are in there because of their move to their stadium. And then in the top 20, Rangers in there as well, Barry. It just shows you, if they want to do a proper, I think, Champions League, you've got to have the likes of Celtic and Rangers in there.
Well, you just need to look at the attendances. They're nearly selling out. At Celtic, they're just a couple of thousand underneath their capacity, and Rangers are a few hundred underneath their capacity. It just shows you how big a clubs that both Rangers and Celtic are and what type of fans I've got. So Rangers and Celtic for me are certainly Champions League teams.
Yeah, Ruffy, impressive figures. It just shows you, with the two of them head to head, the desire is back in the game.
Yeah, and certainly when the two of them are playing at the top level, whether it's in our league as far as Rangers are concerned or Celtic in Europe, you know, the fans just want to buy into it. And I'm sure if Rangers or Celtic could make their stadiums bigger, then they'd fill it as well.
Okay, last word on the Scottish Cup then. Disappointment for the Rangers fans who were hoping to go to Cowdenbeath Rangers. That match has been called off due to the weather. But as far as the Scottish Cup, Ruffy, is there any team in your mind that's going to stop Celtic winning the Scottish Cup this year?
On present form, I think, yeah. I think Celtic have been shown that they can be caught on any specific day, and I think their teams out there will fancy themselves in a one-off game.
Yeah, of course, that's just a bland answer for me. Is there any team you could come up with?
Yeah, Rangers.
Rangers for you?
Yeah, I've got to agree with Ruffy.
Yeah.
Yep, Rangers.
Okay, there you are. Wasted 25 seconds of our time, but eventually we got there. Thanks to Ruffy and Barry for their comments tonight. We're away to try and buy ourselves a drone just to show Ruffy how it works, and maybe a few cameras as well for VAR. Join us on Monday again. We'll be back here, Barry, Ruffy and myself. It's PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it and join us Monday to Friday at 6 o'clock. Thanks for watching.
The Arnold Clark Reel sale is now on.